Welcome to Brain Health Besties, a human-forward podcast for those of us who want to feel better but don't know where to start. I'm Bailey, a licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Nia, a qualified mental health professional.
And I'm Shelby, a human.
We are so glad you're here. And we believe that you deserve to know how your brain works and how to nurture it, even when self-care feels a little challenging.
We focus on kindness to ourselves and recognizing our own needs with as little guilt as possible, because your brain deserves a bestie.
Stars in my eyes, I can't see which way is right, but if there's one thing that I know, it's only up front.
Hey besties, the practices we talk about here are great for your brain, but this podcast isn't treatment. If you're feeling overwhelmed, please call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Help is always available. Hey besties, you are tuning in to a Learning Together episode where we dive deep into the science behind a practice and learn and reimagine what well-being can be together. All right, you all, let's start with our self-assessment, that very basic 0 to 5 scale. How are you in this very moment?
Who's going to go first?
I feel like I always go first, Nia, so I'm going to put you on the spot this time.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go for 1.5.
Okay.
There's no reason why, but it's just 1.5 today.
You don't have to have a reason.
Yeah. Awesome. 1.5. I am going to go with maybe a 1.75, maybe a 2, kind of somewhere in that area. I like decimals. It's come down a little bit since the last time we did this.
Yeah, I'm going to put myself probably about a 1.5 as well. I'm a person who thrives off good connection and conversation, and having some intentional connection with people always sort of settles me a bit. So I'm feeling a bit more grounded and connected, and really grateful for that too. Okay, you all. So we love doing the self-assessment as that first step, so we can just get a feel for where we are in this moment and then how we want to approach and kind of engage in the conversation to come. Today's conversation is tapping into hope. And what I really want to give some context into, this world that we are living in, whether we are striving to grow towards goals, whether we are overcoming something really challenging, or just trying to navigate this chaotic world we exist in, finding hope is not just toxic positivity or just this like, oh, that would be nice, but it's actually a necessity for our brains. And so I'm really excited to dive into the science behind that and kind of hear your all's take today on what hope looks like for you and how you tap into that when you need it.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. I think hope is sometimes used as a buzzword or one of those things, like a checklist item, like, oh, I'm supposed to have hope and I'm supposed to be happy and I'm supposed to do all these things.
Good vibes only.
Good vibes only, which is not the case. We don't do that here. We do good vibes, but not good vibes only. Right. So I'm excited to dive into the science and learn a little bit more about why hope is so important.
Yeah. I love this, and this is something we speak about pretty often. You know me, and I get nerdy about the brain science. But what hope does for us is it activates this neurochemical in our brain called dopamine. And dopamine has a lot of different functions. As we learn more about the brain, we know that no one thing does one thing. It's all very interconnected and complex. But one of the big things that dopamine does is it accesses the reward center in our brain, which motivates us to think about the future and to come back to something or continue to do something. So we lovingly sometimes call it hopeamine because hope creates that dopamine piece, but it keeps us moving when things are hard. It gives us faith in humanity when the world feels chaotic. It helps us show up the next day when yesterday's workday was really, really hard. We have to have hope in order to continue to arrive and show up in the spaces and with the people in ways that are meaningful and really intentional and for us. So that's kind of why hope is so important. It's not just a feel-good thing. It actually scientifically, we need it to keep moving.
I think it's also... I think of it as a foundation that like you said, we need it. We need it to keep going. But I also think that it's sometimes elusive. It's hard to find or hard to feel. So I'm excited too to get into talking about it and kind of just piecing it apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that elusive and hard to find piece is important here. And there's a reason behind that. Nothing just happens automatically. Our brains are complex and they do things for a reason. And our brains are actually built to have what we call in the psych world a negativity bias. So what that means is that we look for the things that are maybe chaotic or not going well or hard because it's directly linked to safety. And we want that to happen. So we remember that a dog that was aggressively barking on the street, and so we take an alternate route. Or we remember that there is a stop sign that people don't stop very well at, and so I'm going to avoid that, or I'm going to be hyper vigilant in that moment because it keeps us safe. And what often happens is because we're looking for that negativity bias and our brains are built that way, oftentimes we miss all the hope-filled or the positive things that are happening. So I don't pay attention to how often people do actually stop at that stop sign. Or I forget how that aggressive dog was barking there once, but it has never been on that street otherwise. Our brains are built that way so we survive. And so we want that. And it's also really important for us to, or can be really important for us to then try to intentionally, knowing that information, intentionally train our brains to also notice the hope moments. So it's not getting rid of the realities. It's not saying, oh, this thing that is hard and dangerous isn't there. I'm just going to ignore that. That would be the toxic positivity. But it is also saying, okay, this is true. And also, I'm finding all these moments. Yes, there are several people who do not stop at that stop sign. And look at all the people that do. Or look at look at the beautiful flowers on the side of the road. So there are things that we can do to engage and intentionally train our brains, which we talked a little bit about with the Finding Beauty episode too.
Yep. A little hack of our brain so that we can find those moments of hope and kind of curate a little bit of dopamine for ourselves.
I've had people ask me something to the effect of, well, isn't that just fake? Right? Aren't we kind of, I guess, lying to ourselves? And my answer is no. It's that practice piece again. I think that sometimes we do have situations that felt out of our control or the thing didn't happen like we wanted it to. But if we are able to take some time and look a little bit into it, maybe we can still find that positive or that lesson like you talked about or the gift that it's given. And that's what we're talking about, is that practicing it to make it more of a common thing that we go to.
And I think it's okay to remember that may not happen right away. That it is, even when we are looking for hope, if we do not find hope automatically, we are not broken. There's nothing wrong with us. And there are times that I need to borrow hope. That for whatever reason, curating my own hope is really hard in that moment. And I need to lean into my people or spaces to help intentionally find that hope for me. And that's okay too. So this is, to your point with the practice, that if we're not finding it right away, that is completely normal and we are not broken for that space. There are some times where life is really challenging and hope is hard to find, and that's normal.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Giving that piece that we are all different. Everything takes time, and it's like that gift that we give ourselves to be able to practice. And I think it's that restart too, permission to restart, permission to try it again, and just be able to give that to ourselves and be able to move forward is kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Nia said something when we were discussing this before the episode that really kind of stuck with me, is hope is a possibility. It's not only the great things, but it's the possibility that tomorrow's going to be better. It's the possibility that I learned a lesson through this and I'm going to apply that so next time's different. It's just that little piece of possibility that keeps us going.
Yeah, when we were prepping for this episode, I was actually listening to another podcast that I listen to frequently. And they were talking about how hope has to have an element of uncertainty. because hope is the reimagining a different future. So thinking like today was really hard. Yesterday could potentially be better. So it is, I don't know if it's actually going to be better. I don't know if tomorrow is going to be less disastrous than today was, but I have hope that it could be, or maybe that it could be less disastrous, or that I could have a moment that feels lighter or more easeful. So it has to, almost as a requirement, have a bit of that uncertainty. And sometimes that alone is hard to be able to having hope. If hope requires uncertainty, allowing ourselves to be with the uncertainty can be challenging.
Yeah. The good news is the only thing that is certain is uncertainty. So we have that piece on lock.
Yep.
And we can use that to kind of fuel our hope.
Yeah, it reminds me of a class that I get to teach, and it's really neat because it's grown over the years. And in the beginning, it was a little bit. I never knew who would show up because we didn't have any processes in place, so it made it a little bit tricky. It was after work, so after work hours. It was a long class. It's a 3-hour class. Probably some of the people who are there don't really want to be. Right? I mean, so even me sometimes, but I think it was the way I would get myself out the door and to, get ready on time and get packed up and be prepared is that I would remember that the times I'd led it before were lovely. I was able to connect with these families. I was able to be able to give some examples, be able to hear what they were going through, and being able to have a little bit of tips for them maybe. They were able to connect with each other too. So if I had just sat in the, this is late, and I didn't remember those pieces that were already kind of put there, they were planted, that I knew went well, I wouldn't have gone.
Thank you. So that's firing something in my brain for this idea of finding hope versus creating moments or opportunities for hope. So I think some of us maybe go about, and me being when I say some of us, like owning this as something that I do, go about our day expecting hope to slap us in the face. Like, I just want to be hit with hope, please. Somebody make that happen. Which can happen. There are moments where we are, out and about in the world, and we see a human engaging in an act of kindness for another human being, or we see one of my favorites, a turtle rescue. Somebody pulls over and aids the turtle to the other side of the street, right? And those moments are unexpected and give me hope for humanity. Like it ignites some hope for me. And if we go about our lives constantly waiting for hope to slap us, to be present, or to hit us unexpectedly, maybe is the better way to say that, we're gonna be waiting a lot because those moments don't happen all the time. What I'm wondering is if there is also a possibility, and if you all have any practice in this, of curating or creating opportunities to find hope versus waiting for the world to manufacture it for us.
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to give you the backstory on this first.
Okay.
The organization that we work for is full of amazing, beautiful human beings doing the hard work and changing the world one person at a time across our different communities. And I know that. And one of my favorite things is spending time with those people because it fuels me. It gives me that hope and that dopamine. So I intentionally curate times into my day, sometimes unintentionally, but I try to. Try to intentionally curate times into my day where I get to spend time with people and I get to talk to those people and I get to see them celebrate each other and themselves and their work. So sometimes that is hopping onto a meeting that I don't necessarily have to be on, but I know that our people are meeting and they're going to be celebrating the amazing things that they're doing. So I log on so that I can see that and get a little hit of dopamine. Sometimes it is getting up from my desk and walking down the hall, and we joke about hallway meetings all the time because if you find the Be Well team, we are probably in the hallway with a bunch of other people just talking.
And if it's loud, it's usually us.
That's also true.
That is
If it's
true.
loud,
That
it's
is
probably
true.
us. But those are some of my favorite moments during the workday. And it is something that I can do. I can get up and walk down the hallway and find people to talk to or interrupt somebody else's meeting because, they don't really want to be on that meeting either. So we'll talk instead.
It's like a little hope scavenger hunt.
It is.
Where can I find
Ooh,
it?
I love that.
We may have to use that in the future.
We
Please
might.
save this for future.
Getting your hope filled up, and you're filling up everybody else's hope as well.
Ooh, a hope bucket. I'm
Hope
got
bucket.
like all of these little. I'm such a visual person, so all these like little visual cues. I'm like, oh yeah, a hope bucket, and let's have a hope scavenger hunt, and all these little pieces. And that actually, the first visual that comes up for me is one that we use in therapy quite often, and is also used in different parts of the world. But it's all about, and in different functions, but about the idea of planting seeds. That maybe we are planting seeds of hope, hoping that those will germinate at a future day. And sometimes we're going to see the fruits of that labor immediately. And sometimes it's not until next season or multiple seasons down that we see the fruits of that labor. It makes me just think of gardening.
I love that. Yeah, we don't plant a garden because we're going to put that seed in the ground and an hour later there's going to be tomatoes. But we plant those seeds because we know, or we hope, in a few months that there's going to be tomatoes.
And I think we even, in that aspect, we're even hoping from somebody else's hope. Maybe it's someone who's taught you to actually plant the seeds, and you are following kind of their lead. You have to nurture the seeds for them to grow. You have to remember them, right? To do that practice of watering them and
That's
taking
my
care of them. Yes, yes, yes. So that's pretty cool to think about it as a garden, right? It doesn't just pop up overnight.
Yeah.
I love that. And there's a piece of that is also kind of along that garden lines is when it's a really good season and you get to a point of abundance where you have so many tomatoes that you don't know what to do with them.
The tomatoes are hope, by the way.
The tomatoes are hope. That you can share that with somebody else. You can share your hope or your dopamine with somebody else. And that is, again, that community aspect of we are built to be together. Yeah, I love that.
My friend just called me literally yesterday, and she's inviting me over to come to her garden. She has Swiss chard, she has peppers, she has all of it, and it's so fun to go because they are just wonderful people. So she's experimented with that garden, right? She's experimented with things that she's gone through.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to go over and be in community with her and her husband and be out there actually literally picking those things and taking them home. And I get to, nurture myself with those. Yeah.
And that's all hope.
That's all
By
hope.
the way, it's
Yep.
not just Swiss chard. It is a moment for a little bit of dopamine.
Good for your brain and your body. It's true. Yeah. So I think that kind of my biggest takeaways from this conversation, y'all, is hope can be borrowed. It doesn't have to always be ours. If we are having a hard time curating that in ourselves, we can borrow other people's hope. We can intentionally create moments of hope, whether that's me going to YouTube and watching the dodo and animals and humans doing amazing things for each other, or that is going down the hallway at work and saying like, ooh, I'm feeling like I'm needing a bit of dopamine. Where can I seek this out? That hope scavenger hunt. And I think that it's okay also. I think maybe the biggest takeaway here is it is okay and we are not broken if hope does not feel accessible for us in this moment. That is a completely normal experience as well.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the big things. One of my favorite dopamine generators is our software program has a to-do list function, and it makes the most satisfying little ding sound when you check something off your list. And so oftentimes when I'm in the muck of the day and I realize that I just did a task that maybe wasn't on my to-do list, I will go and put it onto my to-do list and then check it off. That way I get that little hit of dopamine and that little bit of motivation so I can keep propelling myself through the day.
Yeah,
That's a cool
Yeah.
example.
that is a cool example. I might borrow that one. I
please
might
do.
borrow your hope. Okay, you all, if you would like to engage in a practice of finding hope, we're going to go step by step in the follow-up episode 16, on dreams without limits, a practice that allows us to maybe tap into our hope. We are so glad you're here, besties. Take care, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Brain Health Besties so you can find us in the future.
And since sharing is kind, share us with your besties.
If you have mental health or wellness topics you'd like us to chat about, please reach out to bewell@livebrightly.org.
Until next time, be well, besties.
Shining brighter than the sun. I'm